Chairman sir, Pilani, my former colleague and friend Dr. Viren Singh, principal of VIT management courses, as well as engineering courses, technology courses, all the faculty members and for your friends. Am I audible at the back? Okay. So let me first say that I'm thankful to Chairman sir, my friend Dr. Singh and your entire faculty team to host me here. We keep doing professional work. इस तरह का काम बहुत करते रहते हैं, लेकिन अपने होम टाउन में ये काम करना एक अलग ही फीलिंग है. Place where you spend your childhood, your teenage, in your age group. It's a great feeling to be back and speaking to you all in this platform. So, since it's a mixed group of students, what I have planned is some generic ideas around this theme of living to your potential. तो मैंने deliberately इसको इस तरह से रखा है कि ये conversational format में बातचीत हो, in the form of a dialogue, because if I don't do that, then a few things that I believe can be left with this group of young, bright, ambitious, aspiring management graduates, those will be left out. So therefore, it is in the conversational format. I want to request the senior faculty, many of them I know do a very good job, to please bear with me if I deal with rather basic stuff, because I'm keeping all of you in mind. I hope that's okay with you. I have you all in mind. They are my colleagues. We have a very learned team there, and frankly, I'm very happy. I did not know. I come from this town, but it's been long since I've been away for studies and for the rest of the career. I did not know that in my hometown there is this level of work that is happening. Faculty and under the leadership of your chairman, they have been able to do this level of work in my hometown. I feel very happy, and I want all of you to please compliment them with a big round of applause. Like I said, we get such opportunities at many institutes, and I can tell you that the kind of work they have put together matches with many of the very good ones that are much widely known. Possibly what is needed a little more is that, like your chairman was saying, that we need to communicate about ourselves a little more. And I guess in the time to come you will see. Okay, so coming back to the theme. You can speak in English, you can speak in Hindi, you can also speak in Baghelkhandi, but speak you must. कम से कम एक क्या कोई बताया, what does potential mean to you? Let me make it easy. Sachin Tendulkar को आप सब जानते हैं, right? Right. So when he was 15, 16 years old, and used to 14 years old, 13 years old, people knew that this fellow has something in him. That was his potential. A latent ability which has the promise of achieving outstanding success. दिखता है कि इसमें कुछ है और ये आउटस्टैंडिंग सक्सेस अचीव कर सकता है, लेकिन अभी तक वो सक्सेस आई नहीं है. That is when that ability is called your potential. तो अभी आप सारे लोग पोटेंशियल मैनेजर्स हो, ठीक है? सारे लोग potential managers, managers with potential who can make a very significant mark wherever you go, whatever discipline, whatever functions you choose. But it's a potential. It depends upon what you do with it. That will decide where will you reach. Okay? So therefore, you are actually living to your potential. I thought before I go to the topic, ये कोशिश करेंगे कि all of us are on the same page. So Sachin Tendulkar has lived the life of his dreams. So he has realized the potential that he had by leveraging, using the capability that he has. And so then, obviously, the next question is, but before I go here, there is another name some of you will remember. Vinod Kambli, do you remember? Right? Did he have a potential? You know, the same school, I think the same coach as well. Almost similar performance up to 15, 16, 17, 18 years. So potential was there, everything was there. But did he live to his potential? Did not. So these are very good contrasts for you to say. You can have all the potential that you can have, but you may not get anywhere. And with the potential you can get wherever you actually want to be. So therefore, it would be very good if all of us knew कि कैसे अपने potential को पूरा use करें. All of you want to use your potential? That's it. All of you want to use your potential. Unfortunately, there is no rule book. There is no rule book which tells you ये करते जाओ, ये करते जाओ, ये करते जाओ, आप पूरा potential अपना use करोगे. That's a challenge. There is no standard method. Why? Just because, you know, potential has, each one of us has a potential that there's something unique about it. And just as the potential is unique, the way to leverage it is also unique. And therefore, there cannot be a rule book. You will fully leverage your potential. But the good news is that there are some proven ideas. There are a few things that if we take care of, actually we are on the way to leveraging our potential. That much is certain. And that's going to be the focus of our discussions today. And like I said, you speak in English, you speak in Hindi, you speak in Vindhya. But speak you must. Because if you don't speak, then you will remain where you are and in terms of your thinking. And I will go back with wherever I am. Okay? So speak you must. Now, these are the three things. These are the three, broadly, that shape whether we will be able to leverage the potential that we have or we will not be able to leverage it partially or fully. The way we think about ourselves in terms of us, what are we worth, what we can achieve, our belief system. In day-to-day life, the way we think about, the way we go about doing things, the way we think about them. And of course, most importantly, what actions we take. So these broadly have distinguished people who have been able to leverage their potential from those who have not been able to leverage their potential. So let us begin. And if you can tell me what is this? Your self-concept. कोई बोलना चाहेगा? ट्राई करना चाहेगा? The way you think about yourself as a person is extremely important in what you will make of every situation that you face. So if you think that my English is not good, if I ask a clarification in the class, people will think that this fellow's English is not good, they will all look at me. Somebody comes from whatever Pushkala, Campion and whatever, I have come from some school, some college, and that is not so good in training me. You know, in India, we can have hundreds of reasons to stratify people in different categories, arranged in a hierarchy. Those so-called artificially injected hierarchies come in the way of this self-concept. That is, and it is extremely important that each one of us has a self-concept which stands on this. The way I am today, I am whole and complete the way I am. अगर ये बात अच्छी तरह से आपके दिमाग में नहीं बैठी है तो बहुत सारी अपॉर्चुनिटीज आपके दाएं बाएं से निकल जाएंगी and you will not be able to make a good use of them. Let me give you an example. All of you know Mahendra Singh Dhoni? Yes. You know the kind of background he came from? इसके बाद once he, got selected in the state team, then in the national team, the people whom he was commanding, national team के बारे में वो strategize करता था कि कौन कहाँ खेलेगा सेलेक्टर्स के साथ में, कैसे सेव करना चाहिए. खुद तो अच्छा प्लेयर था ही, विकेट कीपिंग, बैट्समैन, कैप्टनसी, but strategy and everything about the cricket, he had his say. अगर उस समय उसके दिमाग में ये internal dialogue रहे कि all these Gautam Gambhirs and Virat Kohlis and the rest of the people from Delhi and Mumbai and all, I have come from Jharkhand and a small town and son of so and so and all this, will he be able to use his ideas and influence people? No. So therefore, whatever is your area of strength, whatever are your thoughts in the classroom, in the assignment, in the internship that you do, it is extremely important that you express them and you articulate them. Because that is when you, and this will come when this internal dialogue of who am I as a person? Am I whole and complete today the way I am? When this dialogue, internal dialogue is set in your mind, then rest of the potential or the abilities that you have, you will be able to leverage without any hiccups, without any self-imposed censorship. अगर अपने खुद के internal dialogue की वजह से आप छोड़ देते हैं, वो opportunities फिर आप नहीं छोड़ेंगे. So this is extremely important. Of course, all of us want to get better. I can choose to get better in the way I speak, the way I present, the way I dress up, the way I relate to people. I can choose to keep improving myself for sure. And that's my choice. And that's a choice that I should make lifelong. Sachin Tendulkar continued to do his net practice until he retired. You know that, right? If he wanted, he could not have practiced. And he still would have remained in the team. So these two are not opposites. That I am whole and complete, and yet I can get better in the area that I choose. These two go together. When as a person I accept that I'm whole and complete, and yet I aspire to get better in X, Y, and Z, that's when your effort produces better results. Instead of thinking that, oh, I have this and I don't have this, I don't have it. It was very good if I was at IIM. It would have been better if it was at Ahmedabad. I'm at VIM. So these two go together, and we will talk a little more about it. There are ways you can methodically plan where you want to get better without impacting your self-concept, which is, I am whole and complete the way I am. There is nothing wrong with me as a person. I am at par with anybody, anywhere. I choose to get better in X, Y, and Z, and therefore I make effort. So this is something to take note of. Many people will say that it is all right to say all this, but there are limitations what I can accomplish, what I cannot accomplish. You are right. There is a very famous saying from a legendary corporate leader, Henry Ford. If you think you can, and if you think you cannot, both are right. So, in your mind, wherever you have set your sights on to become a top-class manager, marketing manager, HR manager, finance manager, wherever you have set your sights on, do you, deep in your hearts, believe that yes, I can accomplish it, I can do it? Never underestimate what you really believe in. Because today there is a whole lot of research by neurologists, people who specialize in the brain science, and they say that the way you believe about things, your mind, your brain becomes attentive to sensory stimuli of that kind. I don't want to make it very technical, but your mind becomes very alert to inputs that are relevant for that area. So if you believe that no, I cannot do it, there will be so many things that will come your way you can use and keep improving, but because your own belief and the neural activation is such that no, I don't think I can do it, those will slip away. Whereas if your belief system is such that yes, I can do it, your mind is attentive to everything that has some bearing on what you are trying to achieve. It picks up those sensory signals, everything around you, and therefore you are actually constantly preparing yourself, whether you are reading, listening, writing, and the rest of it. Mind is constantly receiving sensory inputs that prepare you for whatever you have set your sights on. So, for heaven's sake, please believe in whatever you have set your sights on. Don't have this self-doubt that how will I compete with so-and-so and how will I compete with so-and-so. If you believe there is, your mind has, and then the rest of it that follows, your mind has its own way to keep preparing you for what you have really believed in. Be surprised by the number of options that get thrown up. You will be surprised by the newer ways of moving forward towards the goal that you have set for yourself. So there is nothing like a normal way of doing things. First, when you think whatever you want to accomplish, leave your mind free to come up with ideas that it thinks can help you get there. You can be a lot more innovative in your approach to get wherever you want to get. While I'll be happy to take some questions at the end, but as we go along, if anyone of you feels that there is something very important you want to ask, please feel free and you can raise your question there. Excellence always commands premium. It's an obvious thing, but I want to emphasize it still, because many times we worry about there are 2 years. I mean, there has been COVID, then there are downturns, there are all kinds of issues that come up. The reason why we need to value excellence is that actually if you have your eyes set on excellence, whatever may be the odds, there are always opportunities for the excellent people. Take any profession. There are doctors who make their living by preparing medical certificates for leave, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, and there are doctors who command even in a place like Satna, 2,000 rupees, 1,500 rupees for one consultation, because you value. Same is true for lawyers, any professions you take. We must make excellence our way of living, because it is, once our eyes are set on excellence, then actually there will always be opportunities, whatever may be the change in the environment or in the ecosystem. So if an assignment has been given to you, are you fully satisfied? Excellence has to be your own way of thinking. It's not only about what the teacher will say when I present. You look at it and say that actually I have done the best that I could have done on this assignment. So this raising your own aspiration about what excellence means to you, you will find that that's a sustainable way to distinguish you even in the most difficult of the circumstances and the situations. And this is up to us. And frankly, with a little bit of effort, if it becomes our way of thinking, you begin to enjoy it, because you don't feel happy taking an assignment to the class or a project to the class when you are not satisfied. And once this kind of a thinking develops, that I will present something when I am fully satisfied, you will see that every piece of work that you do will have a certain intrinsic quality. And excellence may be very difficult to define, but I can tell you that it is very easy to recognize. Very easy to recognize. Just have your own standards that I will, whatever work I put together and share, I will put that I feel happy about. Take failures as a part of learning and growth. Of course, I'm sure you have been hearing about it from your school days. There is nothing new about it. Michael Jordan, anyone of you have heard his name?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Basketball player. खाली एक ही दो लोगों ने बोला, और किसी ने माइकल जॉर्डन का नाम सुना? Very good. So, like in India, when we think of cricket, we think of Sachin Tendulkar and Sunil Gavaskar. In America, when they think of basketball, they think of Michael Jordan. उसकी ये बात पढ़िए. Read someone who has reached that height of success. Just look at what he has said, and I want to try to point to do this. So the most successful, legendary basketball player of America, this is his own experience. आप बताइए, what does it tell you? Does it tell you something? Now somebody has to speak because this is very simple. On behalf of the class, what does this quote tell you? Yes, go ahead. Give up nahi karna chahiye. Sure, thank you. Sure, thank you. और क्या बताना चाहेंगे? We should keep trying. Sure, thank you. और कुछ बताना है? तो अगर if this man had got worried because he missed, you know what a winning shot means, उसकी वजह से अगर तो हम मैच हार जाएंगे या जीत जाएंगे, तो अगर वो डर के मारे ये बोलते कि यार I don't want to, you know, take ownership of that, you send somebody else, he is also good, he would not have been Michael Jordan. Because he took that risk. Even when he failed, he wanted to try it again. And he was willing to take that risk. Therefore, he kept on improving, and today he is the most celebrated player undoubtedly in America. So it's a same life story for all of us. Whether there is some discussion happening in the class, you want to raise a point, you want to make a presentation, you want to give an interview to a potential employer. If you believe that this is what I want to say and I am convinced, say it. It is possible that sometimes it doesn't work. But when it doesn't work, sit back and reflect. That's what the other line means, the learning and growth. What is it that I could have done better, and therefore next time you're better. So if you get afraid of failing, you cannot get to the level that people like Michael Jordan have got, or whether Sachin Tendulkar have got. I'm sure all of you remember there was a time when Sachin Tendulkar had a very bad patch. सारे लोगों ने बोलना चालू कर दिया था कि now he should retire, but he said no. He went into the nets, practice, and he bounced back and added many hundreds. So, you know, you're not playing cricket, of course. You are looking at a good placement, good career, but even along the way, the similar opportunities present themselves. How do we face them? With conviction, even at the risk of having failed sometimes, and then what do we learn from those is going to determine how far we go. What does this one mean? Live with the power of discipline, not with the distractions of immediate gratification. So, I hope English is not bothering, but let me share with you a very, very famous experiment, and I want you to, some of your professors might know, Marshmallow Experiment. Of course, it was done in America. So, कुछ बच्चों को marshmallow, forget about marshmallow, take some chocolate. So, tables में एक chocolate रख दिया और उसको बोला कि they told the kids that those who don't eat, by the time I come back, I'm coming back to the class, those who don't eat, they will get another chocolate. But those who eat this, they will not get any chocolate. And then after 15-20 minutes, when the teacher comes back, he found that the largest number of kids had eaten the chocolate. Some chocolate, and all that. There was a very small number who had not. Along those lines, the progress of those children was followed in the school, in the career. This experiment started in 1960s and of course has continued subsequently many years, decades and published. So they did, the children who had waited for teacher to come back so that they can get another chocolate. They had superior performance in school, even after they began a career, and subsequently their career was far superior than the children who at the first instance had eaten their chocolate. Now you must be wondering कि ये chocolate खा लेने से career और life की success का relation क्या है? That is what this line relates to. Chocolate अगर नहीं खाया, he waited until the teacher came back and gave him another one, therefore he got 2 chocolates, और chocolate खा लिया. उससे परफॉर्मेंस और करियर सक्सेस में क्या रिलेशन हो सकता है? आपने से कोई बताना चाहिए? Yes.
The person has to get something and without that reason,
Sure. Good. Any other effort? It is almost there. That's the answer. If you have learned to discipline your mind, that if I have my sight set on something, that is, I want to get 2 chocolates, because it's better to get 2 chocolates, I will not let other temptations come in the way. It's as simple as that. And the mind starts getting those, those are ways of disciplining your mind slowly and gradually from everyday experiences. So if you have a presentation to make tomorrow and you are working on that presentation, and then what is this latest phrase? KFG2. KGF2, sorry. Is Polar going to be okay? So KGF2 is released here, and some of you are fond of first day, first show. Then अभी उसको देखना है वो रात में कर लेंगे. Then you come back and then something to put together. So your presentation will get impacted. The way your teacher thinks of you will get impacted. And if you keep repeating those things for immediate gratification, how is it that I can immediately grab what I want? That can keep impacting your achievements throughout the life, because your brain is slowly getting disciplined to function and decide things in a certain manner. So therefore, ability to be able to delay the satisfaction or gratification that you want is an extremely important aspect for you to be able to pursue the goals where you have set your sights. And your brain keeps getting reinforced in its thinking by the day-to-day experiences. Therefore, don't take them casually. They are slowly training your mind to function in a certain manner. So we have spoken about it. It affects you will be surprised that it affects your career and life throughout. And more you allow it to remain like this for your years in 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, more difficult it becomes for you to change it. Now it is so much easier. But if I have decided something, I will not, these immediate gratifications, I will not let them come in the way. Finally, of course, so far what we have been doing are the thoughts that we share. And finally we come to the actions we take, because that's where rubber meets the road. Aap actually karte kya hai? That is what determines what will be the outcome. We have in some way spoken about this, but let me hear from you, what does this mean? Be yourself, express yourself, and don't be discouraged by the public opinion. You must be wondering why is Imran Khan written there. I agree with you. There are so many things about Imran Khan that none of us agree with. So don't worry, I am not supporting Imran Khan, nor his party. But there was a very limited point that I wanted to make. And you know, some couple of years back, there was a small video of him. It was being circulated in the WhatsApp. And I want to drive the small point from there. You know, when he was initially selected in the Pakistan's national team, I think the first game or second game, most probably the first game, in the first inning, he could hardly tackle, even when he went to bat, he could hardly tackle 1 or 2, 3 balls somehow, and in the 4th ball, he was out. And the whole crowd was hooting him. You know, किसने select कर दिया इसको? ये cricket selectors क्या करते हैं? Useless player, who brought him in the national team, and all of that, as he was walking back from the crease to the pavilion. Come the second inning, and he scored, I think, more than 100. I mean, he did very well. The same crowd in the same stadium. He is a future cricketer of Pakistan. He is the man to be counted. And Imran Khan, so-and-so, and Vindhya, and all of that. So, you know, public opinions are formed basis the tip of the iceberg. There is a whole iceberg below that you know. Where have you come from? What your strengths are? You know, and there are so many other examples. Abraham Lincoln is a great example, and various other things. Even among students and corporate people, not many of you will know, but there are great examples. So, people form their impressions basis very limited thing that they are able to notice about you. And therefore, it is extremely important that you express yourself exactly the way that you are. You are a product of some genetic inheritance that you have, and from the time जब आप एकदम toddler थे, बच्चे थे, you know, there are experiences around in your immediate surrounding, and then as you grow up, those experiences, and all those have shaped you the way you are. That is your foundation. That's your whole strength. And unless you know, the earlier one, I am whole and complete the way I am, unless you accept that as it is and express from that position, you will miss out on the core strength that you have. And therefore, you know, in a class, in assignment, in group work, wherever you get an opportunity, the way you think about it, please speak. I'm not saying you don't listen, but please speak what you think and you feel. Because when you share a point of view, you are actually giving expression to the unique person that you are. And when you give expression to the unique person that you are, that unique competence, talent, whatever you want to call it, grows. If you don't express it, it doesn't grow. Doubts grow. Then now let me not say this, or let me say this. So make it a point that if you have a point of view, you put it out on the table. In best case, it will be right. In the worst case, there will be a different point of view. Listen to it, and if there is a need to make course correction, you make course correction. But not being able to put out on the table what you believe on anything that we discuss and do is something that is going to limit the potential that we spoke about right in the beginning. Well, this is a fairly common thing. Each one of us, depending on the kind of aspirations that we have set for ourselves. We want to be a top-notch manager in a MNC, or we want to be a financial advisor who has a last word. एक बार वो बोलता है तो सब सुनते हैं. I want to go to that level. Whatever is your aspirations, if you reflect about it, you will know what are the strengths that you carry for that aspiration for yourself, and what are the areas where you need to improve. Self-awareness through reflection is a very powerful tool for a continuous improvement. Just to mention a particular case, a couple of months back, I had a conversation with a gentleman called Mr. R. Gopala Krishnan. I am not referring to these corporate leaders because many of them are not so widely known in that sense. He is a former vice chairman of Hindustan Unilever and executive director of Tata Sons until 2 years ago. He says, every day in the morning, my first task is, after I get up early morning 6 o'clock, I look at my previous day. And I want to think about various things that I dealt with yesterday. Did I do the best that I wanted to do? He said most of the time, yeah, I think I'm okay. Except here I could have dealt with it a little differently. I could have treated somebody with a little more respect. I could have connected with somebody better. But he says in a career of 50 years, this simple process of looking at my previous day has helped me continuously improve and handle the levels of responsibilities that he has handled. So self-reflection, because when we are in the thick of action, it is very difficult to realize what's working well and what's not working well. But when you step back and look at what worked very well and what didn't work very well, you always have some insights on where is an opportunity for me to raise my game. Develop this habit once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever time permits for you. If you have this habit of reflection, it is a source of continuous improvement for you as a person. Equally important is, while on the other hand we talked about Imran Khan and public opinion, it is not to suggest that don't listen to anybody. There are people who know you, there are people who understand you. A point of view of another person who knows you and understands you, of course, is a very known and very powerful source of continuous improvement. What does this mean? Listen to yourself. What does this mean? Anybody?
Taking action according to your choice.
That is a part of it, yes. मन की आवाज सुनो.
Sir, listen to your inner voice.
It is listening to your inner voice, yes, yes. Why is it important? Why listening to your inner voice is important? It's important because that's the real you. That is where your unique identity, the product of all that you have been through from the time that you were born to this day, your inner voice actually comes from the real person that you are. And this is where, I want to share a few things about when you listen to your inner voice and engage in that action, in that activity, you will normally find it very energizing. there are, there are things we do which we have to force ourselves to do. And there are things we do that attracts us, that energize us, and we can keep doing them for hours and days together. Because those things connect with the real person that we are, and when we engage in the activities that connect with the real person that we are, they very naturally energize you. They very naturally activate your unique talents and unique gift. And therefore, this habit of reflection that we earlier spoke about, it should also help you identify activities that energize you, activities that you felt excited about pursuing. Try and become more aware of them. Try and see, can you engage and invest little more time on them. You will find that your unique talents that are product of who you are actually getting expression more and more. And that's how your unique brilliance, that's where the unique gifts that you are born with get full expression. Not many of us take care of it. These simple things can help you connect with what your unique strengths are. And once you become more aware, you have a ways of leveraging them. I have mentioned his name again, not many of you will be aware. Professor Khandwal, I made a mention briefly when I was talking to your chairman, sir. He did his chartered accountancy after his BCom from Sydenham College. He's a former director of IIM Ahmedabad, who's now retired. So he did his chartered accountancy, and as many of you will know, that after you complete your course, you have to do articleship in some chartered accountancy firm. So when he was doing his articleship, where he used to tally the books of accounts, he said, I want to know why these kind of results have come. Whatever profit, loss, the books account, I want to know what decisions led to these results. As an articleship boy, 21, 20 years old. So he will go and speak to the managers who had made those decisions and why the company had those kind of, figures. As he did that, he realized that I want to understand how management decisions produce company performance results. And it got him so curious that he said, then if I want to understand this, MBA from a good place is what I should pursue. Because that was his inner voice. That, this is what energizes me, I want to do this. So he went on to do his MBA. He was very bright as he was. And he got admitted in Wharton School with his MBA. When he was doing his MBA, as you all, I'm sure many of you would know, Harvard, Wharton, these are some of the best known institutes globally for the MBA program. During his MBA, this course on management theory, Taylor, Fayol, and systems theory and all of those, as those courses were taught and he studied them extensively, he felt that these universal approach that this is how an organization should be managed is not practical. Because every organization is operating in a context. It will need to be managed in a certain manner. How can you have one approach and say that this is how organizations should be managed? As a student, mind you, still a student. But because he was so curious and he was studying everything, and this is the kind of thought he had at that time. Then he himself from that time as a student, after his MBA, when he went on to do his PhD, he said we need to have a contingency approach to management. Fortunately, by then some contingency theories, how an organization should be run, were taking shape. And he chose that route because it kind of energized him, it excited him, studied it very deeply. in his PhD, and as he began his first teaching assignment there itself, he put together some 700 pages book which traced the evolution of management thought from the primitive time till, I am talking of early 70s when he was doing all this. And he put together that book, and it was such a powerful articulation, compilation and articulation of how organizations should be run with a contingency thinking, that the first book written by him became a textbook for the PhD students of management, not only in India, but in the global management schools. So this is what happens when you have a genuine curiosity and you engage in the activities that actually energize you, that excite you. So try, and while you all have our own plans and we talk about it briefly, there is a purpose and there is a passion, but if you can combine your passion and purpose, then the kind of work that will come out of your efforts will have a very, very distinct quality. There are not many academics anywhere in the world whose first book becomes a textbook in universities across the world. But because of such deep engagement of the kind that he had, he was able to produce that kind of work. So this is what your unique gifts do if you really connect with it and pursue it to their end. And this, of course, is a very common thing. When we are discussing here, are you fully here, or you are thinking about the evening show of the movie? Or when you are in the evening show of the movie, कुछ चल रहा था इस class में, what was it about, something was going on. So, why people today advise meditation? I want to hear from you. Meditation today is a very accepted, is a very common and powerful way, to improve our effectiveness, to live productively. Why do you think? What purpose does it serve? Any one of you? Right, lack of concentration. Okay. What else?
To get focus.
Okay. Yes.
Inner peace.
Inner peace as well. Yes. Yes. Anything else?
To improve concentration.
That's part of it. So, you develop a grip. You can direct your mental energies where you want and when you want. One, you can quieten your mind, of course, which is the best way to re-energize yourself. But more importantly, when and where you want a complete mental energy to be directed, you develop that capability. And therefore, living in present and here and now, it actually, the way you engage, and the level of participation, all of these things very significantly improve if you develop that capability to direct your energies where you desire and whenever you desire. And therefore, the value of meditation and the popularity of the meditation. Purpose and passion. Again, I'm sure these are words that in HR courses will be talked about, not very new. Anyone of you would like to say what is the difference in purpose and passion? क्या lunch hour हो गया? Yes, please. Only few people have spoken so far. Some more of you now, new faces. Yes. Purpose is a goal or action. What do you want to achieve? In simple terms, all of you have certain objective behind why you have chosen to do this course. You want to have a career of a certain kind, you want to meet the financial needs of a certain kind, of yourself, your family. You know, this is more driven by what is important to you at this point in time. And therefore you are doing everything that you can to achieve that. That's your purpose. Passion is what we spoke a little while ago. What is it that, you know, triggers the best in you? What is it that arouses your curiosity, your interest, and when you engage in it, you have infinite energy. For some it's sports, for some it's reading, for some it's singing, for some it could be something else. For some it may be HR, for others it may be finance, for some it may be marketing, whatever. Is there something that engages you deeply? And both of them have a significant role to play. More specifically, you can define it. As generally सभी लोग सोचते हैं कि मैं अच्छा मैनेजर, अच्छा प्लेसमेंट होना चाहिए, अच्छा मैनेजर, अच्छा करियर होना चाहिए. That is a very general kind of an objective for most of us have. More specifically, we can define it. To that extent, it becomes very empowering. And why do I say write them down? Anyone of you want to guess? Why should you write them down? Why should you write them down? Anything that you really believe in and write it down, it gets a lot more deeply anchored in your brain. Again, the neural mechanism works. Something that you hear and then you move on has one level of, you know, impact, imprint that it makes in your mind. But when you write it in your own words, it goes to a very different level. And therefore it has a value. Visualize the kind of life you wish to live because of the purpose that you're pursuing and the kind of passion that you have. And I don't know, does it appear correct to you? If you're able to visualize the kind of life that you live, it can live. More specifically, you can visualize it. Better will be your clarity on what you have it today. You will have a much better clarity on what do you have today to live the kind of life that you aspire and what you need to develop. And that's why the need to write down what is it that you are aspiring for. Greater is the clarity, easier will it be for you to draw up your individual growth plan. If you remember, we began by saying there is no standard method for realizing your potentials. Here we are coming back to a point that if you have clarity on the kind of life that you wish to have, more specifically you can visualize. To that extent, it will become easier for you. What do you already possess to live a life of this kind in terms of capabilities, mindset, resources, whatever it takes? And the kind of capabilities, resources, mindset that are needed for you to live that kind of life. This becomes an overall guidepost for you, if you like, to direct your efforts, your time, your mental involvement to keep moving by looking at these two gaps. What you have now, what you need to develop. And that is what we mean when we say that the latent ability or potential is unique, and therefore the plan to fully harness it, the plan to fully leverage it will also be unique. Somebody will have strength in A, B, C, D, and will need to improve in X, Y, Z, and for somebody else it could be vice versa. And more detailed work we do here, clearer we are in what we need to do to pursue our kind of goal in terms of passion as well as in terms of purpose. More the two can fuse, our passion and our purpose, what are we doing it for? More they fuse, they are together, more empowering it is to pursue that goal. But not all of us possibly can live only with the passion. We have purpose, we have needs, we have requirements of life, and therefore that forms a substantial part of how do we go about life. But if clearer we are, easier it will be for you to focus your effort throughout your career. From now as a student to whatever career you have chosen to pursue. This is what we mean, that this is your how of improvement plan. It can be a single one-pager note that you can make and allocate your time and efforts and resources accordingly so that you are on the continuous improvement path. Or it could be something on your laptop or desktop which remains, and that should guide your time and effort all the time. Strategy of the strategies. So what we have been talking so far are little specifics of how do we harness the latent capabilities, which is what we call the potential as we began. So we have been talking about some specifics that can help us leverage that potential, which is of course useful. But an overarching thinking, which we mentioned in the course of the conversation as well, is, you might wonder, comes from, this is something that people at every level believe, and strangely it comes from a Urdu shair, Alam Iqbal. I'm not a very great reader of shairis, but this is something that has stayed with me, and I guess many of you would know. So finally, this is what I want to share with you. खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना, खुदी को कर बुलंद इतना कि हर तकदीर के पहले खुदा बंदे से खुद पूछे बता तेरी रजा क्या है. So, whatever you have chosen, you work so thoroughly in that area, and this is something where you have no excuse. This is something which is completely within your control. The kind of effort that you can put in and the place where you can go. So therefore, keep this strategy in mind, whatever may be the goal, because if you attain that bulandi that this Shire has spoken about, then opportunities find you. You don't have to find opportunities. Opportunities find you and present you with whatever is possible for you. So this is what I want to share. As far as I'm concerned, I'm more than happy to take some questions. I wanted to save the last 15 minutes for it. Considering that it's a mixed batch, I think most of you from your body language guests have been with this conversation as we have gone along. And I'm quite happy. You want to ask something, right? Okay. So that's quite nice. But I'm very happy to take any questions at this stage before we really close. Anyone of you? I think it's one problem. Yeah. Right. That's a good question, actually, and we must. Right? Oh, Professor Sukla, sorry. So the question is that if I think I am whole and complete the way I am, then how do I improve? So, one is to try to improve from the feeling of deficiency, and the other is the attempt to improve from the aspiration to get better. And what I am saying is, an aspiration to get better and keep improving is perfectly fine. But these feelings of inadequacy have a tendency of a downward spiral. Then today you feel, let me take some very common example. I can't speak as well as somebody else. Let me not ask a question. When I don't ask a question, I remain with that doubt. So I don't understand it. Then another thing follows, and another thing follows. So whatever is my level of power of expression, I will ask my question. But I will improve my power. I want to be as good a speaker as I can. But that doesn't stop me, whatever is level of my ability to articulate, to ask a question and engage in a conversation. So Mahendra Singh Dhoni is a very good example. He used to, if you listen to his conversations in the very early days, they were of a different kind. You could make out that he is struggling to express himself. About 10 years down the line, he worked on it. Today he will match anybody. So having an aspiration to keep improving is a very good idea. But allowing this downward spiral that somebody will know that I don't speak as well and all is a downward spiral. So that's the simple point. Yeah, please go ahead.
Doing our side, doing all the efforts, when we get wholeness and completeness.
So again, it's a limited. Wholeness and completeness is your belief system, and that belief system of wholeness and completeness has to be independent of what you have developed and acquired. I have to believe that I am whole and complete the way I am today. It is independent of everything.
But in our general sense, wholeness and completeness is only as being power.
Oh, okay. In the spiritual sense of the term, I agree with you. Sure. Okay. All right. So, this is the simple, in psychology, the concept of self says that if you believe that I am okay the way I am, then it is a very empowering state of mind to keep working to get better. But if your self-concept is that somebody is better there, I wish I had also studied in that school, I wish my father was also so and so, I would come like this. And so there is no end to coming out of that out. There will always be something in which somebody will be superior to you. Then how long you will keep waiting before you express yourself and put yourself on the table. So that is the idea. The way you are today, you are whole and complete. But you are encouraged to aspire and become as good as you want to be in any field that you want. Self-confidence is what we are talking about.
Avoid self-doubting.
Self-doubt leads to downward spiral. One doubt, one self-negative talk leads to the other and leads to the other. You withdraw and remain in yourself. When you express yourself, you have an opportunity to do that. And you see, today, every time I come back to Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and there are other examples I will cite him because everybody knows him. You know, in many respects, he was not a match to many players in this. But he believed that I know the game of cricket and I will guide it. So he did not let anything else come in the way. He guided us. He prevailed upon selectors, what kind of things we want to have. He placed the field the way he felt is the way to field it. If that time he allowed that in certain respect I don't match, then this ability from which he has benefited and the whole country has benefited would have remained within him. So therefore, our focus to put out on the table what we have, the way we have, that self-concept is very important. And then is an aspiration and your growth plan, you can keep getting better and getting better, whatever is your aspiration, by all means. It is extremely important, and that's why many of these schools initially they spend little bit of time that boys open up their minds and be who they are, and then improve from there. If you have feelings of inadequacy about who you are today, you will go in a downward spiral. First it will be of language, then it will be of background, then it will be of something else. It's a state of, it's a self-image, it's a self-concept. It's not objective superiority or inferiority. On a particular issue, I mean maths, I wouldn't understand, anything compared to you. So there it is a fact that I don't know it as well as you do. But should I allow it to, in this downward spiral in me that Professor Jha is far superior than me, I wish I could become as good as him, then I can't do what I can be good at. So self-concept is unconditional and everyone must develop it. And then is aspiration. And why not? Any aspiration.
First of all, we have to explore ourselves and try to minimize the errors.
Those are parts of continuous improvement. See what you're good at, what you're not so good. Drop a plan and keep improving. That, of course, is a part of it. But those are skills. Skills we learn through the life. But self-concept, self-image has to be an unconditional acceptance that I am okay the way I am today. And I want to get better by all means. And that will be driven by my purpose and my passion. And I keep working. So that's what I wanted to say. So once again, thank you very much everybody. I know it's a long session.
Gained the vital knowledge shared by sir and will definitely utilize in our daily lives. Now I will request Vice Principal VIMR, Dr. P.T. Diveni ma'am, to deliver the vote of thanks speech.
Good morning to one and all. I am P.T. Diveni on behalf of the group of institution accepting our invitation and spare some time from your busy schedule. Thanks for enlightening our student and us too about the how to identify our unique strength, how to believe in ourselves and get succeed in our life. Thank you so much, sir. I extend my vote of thanks to Honorable Chairman, sir, for always guiding and motivating us for attending and organizing this kind of session. I extend my thanks to Dean VIMR Viren Singh sir for providing this platform to us. I would like to thank Principal VITS P.K. Shukla sir, Jha sir, Training and Placement Officer Pramod Pandey sir, HR Manager Nivedita Mishra ma'am, Principal VIMS KP Tripathi sir for joining this session and make this session a successful event. And at the last, I would like to thank all the members of Team VIMR and my beloved students. Thank you everyone. Thank you so much.